Welcome to the overview of our team project for Session 2, Student Access and Advocacy. We focused on the 3 questions we were asked to address in our lesson plan to core members. I'll explain in this video how our team meaningfully answered each question through our lesson plan and resources. I'll begin by addressing how we answered the first question. Frere's delineation of the banking and problem-posing models of education served to illustrate not only the how, but also the why of access and advocacy. We began with an intensive study of Frere's 2 models, reading and rereading the relevant material to be sure we understood the characteristics and differences between each. We focused our study on how Frere described 4 concepts in each of his models: teachers, students, content, and the world. This study formed the intellectual foundation of our lesson to core members. After a warm-up, we framed our lesson with 2 essential questions to help focus core members on how the problem-posing model builds access and advocacy. We then introduced the basic terms that students would need to understand by the end of the lesson. In our lesson plan, we set up core members not only to learn about, but also to experience the 2 models. And this emphasis on experiential learning reflects the undergirding pedagogy of the problem-posing model, thus serving to reinforce what we teach in how we teach. To begin with, we illustrate the banking model. This is done with little to no class participation. Information is dryly deposited into core members, who unwittingly take on the role of passive objects in the learning process. Core members then watch a clip from a student who expresses lyrically his distaste for what he terms regurgitation education.
I left this wasteland to become an educated man, to have general knowledge of the Psalms in the palms of my hand, and after 3 years worth of exams I've passed, I look back and realise that you're not educated if your memory is bad. It takes 3 years and that's the key. This is what it means to me. Regurgitation education, remember this for graduation. Regurgitation education. You're only clever for remembering information.
The next activity describes the problem-posing model, and, as you might have guessed, students are presented with a problem to kick off the activity. We have a meta moment with core members as we ask them to discuss how they felt as they were taught about the banking model. Core members should be able to point out the characteristics of the banking model in the lesson they just experienced. This serves as a check for understanding, a posed problem for our next activity, and helps core members to identify experientially with students who are forced to learn in a banking model classroom. We then engage in a dialogue with students to open their minds to a better way, the problem-posing method. We use a teaching excerpt from Rebecca Snyder's classroom to open up the discussion. In the clip, Rebecca's students are taught about the Holocaust and engage in meaningful dialogue about the importance of international law that came about as a result of the Holocaust. They are asked to identify what they believe is the most important law.
Ustedes estaban hablando de muchas ideas que me gustó mucho de los derechos humanos que tenemos. Y sabes que hace algunos años había un evento terrible donde mucha gente murió. Mucha gente en Europa murió. ¿Okay? Esta persona tenía una religión, ¿okay? No quería ir a la iglesia, respetaron otro tipo de Dios.
Students are then given a problem-posing lesson and unit plan template and asked to convert one of their own lesson plans that they brought with them into a problem-posing lesson. Students then work in teams to reconfigure their plan around a problem in society or the world. Finally, to demonstrate the dynamic nature of the problem-posing method and to answer the last 2 questions that were given to us for our project, we bring core members back to a whole group discussion and engage them in further dialogue about the obstacles they encountered as they planned. We close by returning to the essential questions posed at the beginning of the lesson.